What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. Chuck and Nick here. Bring you a Occupy Fantasy special. We're gonna go over DraftKings and FanDuel today. Today on FanDuel, so they've had like satellites for the $5 shot today, 100K to first. So if you guys have a bunch of tickets, we'll talk about FanDuel a little bit more than usual today. But Nick, how we doing? A lot of payups out. It's kind of a dumb slate, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, there's a lot of value to choose from. I was saying earlier, I think it's really easy to build a lineup you like, but that's going to be the case with everyone. We're probably going to see really high scores for a slate that's only 6 games. But it is the NBA Cup, so we got to keep that in mind. Maybe blowouts aren't as, I don't know, important. Not that we ever weigh them that heavily anyway. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty to talk about. I'll say that much.
Yeah, it's like I've been talking about how DraftKings cuts off these night games, and today I actually wish they did cut off the night game because I don't know what to do with the Lakers. I'm getting a hot, like almost 100% LeBron, a ton of Anthony Davis. I mean, we have the value, and I don't think that the model's identifying the field, like the value that the field's getting to. But let's just start with, I guess let's just start by DK value. I mean, of the cheap guys up here, this looks gross. What do you like from here?
Yeah, it does look gross. I mean, one of these OKC guys you could probably have in lineups. I mean, Dort's been excellent, but like historically, he's not a guy you really rely on for offense. So I know we look at the game logs, he's been so solid, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to be surprised if he fails. I mean, yeah, I don't feel great about any of OKC, if I'm being honest. I mean, Dort, at least in terms of value, Dort's probably the safest from the group, but we're seeing him over owned, in my opinion. Don't really like Wiggins. He hasn't shown a ton of upside. Wallace, same thing. I mean, he's cheap. But on a slate like this where there's so much value, I don't know that I trust him. And yeah, no bias, but I actually think Finney Smith I'd rather get to than almost all of these wings for OKC. He's been playing a ton of minutes. As long as he's on this Nets team, he's kind of that veteran presence. Everyone wants to rush to Ben Simmons with Claxton out, but we're also going to see Finney Smith playing minutes at the 5, especially tonight against Charlotte, who's really small right now. They don't have Richards or the other center there. I'm forgetting his name, but yeah, the Grant Williams starting at the 5. You can play small. So yeah, I really like Finney Smith. I mean, I prefer him over a lot of this OKC stuff we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, we got three of the OKC cheapies in the top four, and then we have SGA not too far below him. I mean, I always talk about when a player is at the top of OF index and they show up with a great value score like this, he's under 10%. I mean, he had that blow up game. The first game, Chet was out, but since then, he's been underwhelming. I mean, this is a spot, I think, if everyone's going to rush to play Braun and AD, I think we want to get over the field on SGA. Although I don't believe this 9%. I think he'll end up coming in higher since we lost some of the other payups.
Yeah, he almost has to come in a little bit higher than that. But yeah, man, I'm totally fine getting there. And like you said, way under owned. It's pretty easy to get over the field, and you don't have to make him kind of take up your whole night. You could play 30% SGA, and it looks like you're taking a stand. But again, this probably will be a little bit higher. But how do you not like him here? Again, there's just not many payups on this slate outside of those Lakers.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things is we've had dumb point guard value every day, but the model's not giving us this dumb point guard value. I mean, we have Sexton, we have Kason Wallace, maybe Drew Holiday, but it doesn't stand out like maybe the Ty Jerome in a starting role underpriced was. So SGA, I think we just want to get over the field today.
Yeah, there's tons of value on this slate. It's not at point guard, so I'm with it.
And then sorting by ownership, this is a guy, Jordan Clarkson. I like him a lot, but the model is not picking up on him as strong value. You got to scroll down a few times to find his name here, but he's showing up as the second highest projected ownership on DraftKings. I mean, I like him. I don't know. I'll have 30%, but I'll be close if I'm not there.
Yeah, he's just too cheap, and I think it's really that simple. He's been shooting the ball really well. We project him for 29 minutes. I think that's fair. He usually gets around 30 in a competitive game. And yeah, I mean, the one thing with Clarkson is when the Jazz do get blown out, he comes off the bench most of the time, so he loses that whole fourth quarter, like similar to what we deal with Monk in the Kings. But I don't know. I think in a matchup like this, it should be competitive enough. If you're playing the Lakers, you're wanting a competitive game in all likelihood. So I'm with it, man. I get that he's popular. The price is just wrong, though. And even on FanDuel, like I'm more comfortable playing him than I am the other guards here, like George or Sexton, even with the discount. Clarkson's been the guy. I'll keep going back.
And back to what you mentioned about it being the NBA Cup today, I'm not worried about even LeBron or AD losing playing time. Like Lakers have a mission. We got to repeat as champions because that's all
Can
we
I
have
hang
right
that
now.
banner? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got to celebrate our wins when we got them. So I don't anticipate. I mean, it's only a 12-point spread. It's not like we're projecting blowout anyway.
No, no. I mean, They've been good. They haven't been that good. So I
So,
like it either way.
and you mentioned you like DFS. I'm into him too. I think he feels like fine chalk. I'm fine getting a little bit over the field. 4,100 is great for him. But what about some of these other guys like Dario Saric? I think feels pretty comfortable, and he is model approved. We already said DFS was model approved. Ben Simmons seems like a fine pivot, but I don't understand why his ownership is this high today. I mean, who else
Yeah.
from the top of ownership do you want to get to? And is there anyone here that you just don't want to play?
I mean, a lot of it I don't want to. I think if we're looking to get different, it is easier to get away from some of the value here. I'll say Sarge is good first and foremost, as long as he's starting at center. I mean, you're not going to get
Mhm.
that kind of usage from many of these other plays in this range. But yeah, as much as I've liked playing Simmons this year, it's never as chalk. It is a good matchup for him. I mean, we could see like a Draymond Green style triple double, like the 10-10-10 or something like it here. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But a high ownership, and he's center only on DK. It's very easy for me to go different there. I think on FanDuel, he's tougher to get away from, but where he's only a center, so many pivots. Trey Murphy, I think, is pretty good chalk too. Just seeing a lot of usage with Zion and others out for the Pels. But I mean, other than that, dude, I'm trying to get as different as possible. Like, um, I don't know, it's just sorting by DK value. Like I like Filipowski tonight, only 2% owned. Um, it does have forward eligibility, so he's a little bit easier to fit in. Julian Champagny as well from the Spurs, I think, is going a bit overlooked. We're seeing tons of ownership on the wings from OKC in this game, but on the other side we have Champagny, and with Wemby out, a guy who could see a little bit of a bump in usage, just as risky as those guys at a super discounted ownership percentage. So I don't know. I think Filipowski, Champagny makes some sense. I already brought up Zaire, kind of crazy that he's that owned though. So was thinking that was a hot take. Maybe not so much. But yeah, man. I mean, I just don't like playing the OKC guys. I think Dort of that group is probably the safest. But if I'm going to play a chalky Wallace or Wiggins, it's going to have to take more than just Chet Holmgren being out.
I want to talk about Denver a little bit. So Julian Strother, I would be very surprised if he only comes in 15% owned today. Jokic, congrats to him, man, taking his time off being a dad. Like this
Yeah,
guy does not
he's
care.
earned it.
Yeah, like yeah.
Paternal leave.
So Strother isn't showing up as great DK value. I will mention we have him projected for 22 minutes. That's about what he's been playing recently. I mean, Strother, I think he's going to come in higher owned than 15. I'm getting a lot of him. Do you like him?
I like him. Yeah, I mean, ownership aside, just he's way too cheap for what he's able to do here. Um, I don't know if people are looking at the game logs. I mean, coming off a massive game where he's almost 10x, pretty decent spot for him here as well. So yeah, I don't see how you, I don't know, full fade him. I'll at least match the field. Not that I'm playing a ton of lineups on DK tonight, but hypothetically speaking, if I was, I would at least match the field. At least according to our ownership projections, probably get over that. Again, I mean, it's just another way to get away from some of that sketchy OKC chalk.
And from the rest of Denver, we already mentioned Saric rates out as good value on DraftKings anyway. I mean, 4% on FanDuel. I don't know if I got any over there, but the 4,700 on DK, he's playing over 30 minutes. I think he's a great play. I'd actually kind of be surprised again if his ownership comes in this low. From the rest of Denver, so Jamal Murray, I've been talking about we can fade him, and tonight I see no reason to stop that. I'm still going to be hopefully under the field on Jamal Murray, not a pure fade. And then MPJ had a really bad game last time. He lost playing time to Strother. He was struggling, but I think MPJ is still just a great GPP play, especially if no one wants to play him today. Only projected for 5 and 3% ownership, even though his price is up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean he's a shooter here, and with Jokic out, obviously you're getting that extra usage, wide range of outcomes, but the field is kind of, I don't know, overreacting, like you said, to that last game. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely like getting to him. I will say, like if you're a cash game player, you probably can't get away from Murray, but in
Yeah.
tournaments at this ownership, it makes a lot of sense. Christian Brown, fine on both sides as well. But yeah, I mean Russ is the interesting one, especially on DK because no one wants to go to him. Um, I know it's Russ. I know he's been terrible, but we have seen him spike that ceiling on occasion. Could see it maybe coming in a matchup like this, and what should be a competitive game against kind of a mediocre backcourt defense. I mean, Bane is in, but I don't know. I think low owned Russ feels a lot better than chalky Russ, and that's what we were seeing these first few games with Jokic out. I like him on DK. On FanDuel, where he's 20%, I think you can get away from it, but really surprised more people aren't playing him on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say about Russ is it's a lot different with Jamal Murray in and Jokic out than it was with Jokic in and Jamal Murray out. So It's not quite the same thing. I still don't mind getting to Russ. I want to make sure I have him in my exposures. I've been over the field on him these last couple of games. It would be really annoying if he had a blow up game today. But again, I would be careful with the rules. I wouldn't play Jamal and Russ in the same lineup. But
Mhm.
Strother, I think I'd be okay with him with Jamal, maybe not with Russ.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could even play him with Russ, just because he's so cheap. Like, I don't know that there's going to be enough of a correlation there where it's going to matter. But yeah, but I think all these guards look good, and I don't know. Watson's price is up to a point now where maybe you can get away from him. Looks like the field is, but yeah, just make sure Sarge is starting. I think he will here, but definitely a solid play for his price.
Um, is Cody Martin starting? I don't think so.
Cody Martin. No, because Bridges is back. I don't think they would go with Martin.
Yeah, I don't think so. Cody Martin came off the bench yesterday. This is one thing I wanted to mention with the Charlotte rotation. So a couple games ago, I mentioned Miles Bridges. Like everyone was just forgetting him. He had two games, good games in a row at that point, and then he dropped 49 in the previous game in just 27 minutes. He's pulling a little bit of ownership today. My problem with him is, oh, I didn't have this ready. Sorry. Looking at the rotation, he is losing minutes to Musa Diabite, which doesn't really make sense to me. And you would think that they share the court more, but they kind of don't. They did for one rotation over the last couple games, but that's my only concern about Miles Bridges. And with that, I want to lead into I think Brandon Miller is a pretty great GPP play today. He's pulling a little bit of ownership, but the minutes have been there, and he's just shooting like awful. And so he's actually the guy from Charlotte that I'm looking the closest at today.
Yeah, I mean, Miller's minutes are much safer than Bridges, even though Bridges has been the one producing. So I'm with you. Like that's a very easy decision for me to make. Going to get to a lot of Miller. Um, I mean, first look, Bridges looks great, but then you kind of realize everything that you're saying. I mean, you could mix in Diabet. I don't know how to say his name properly, but yeah, I mean, he's been spiking upside. I mean, the Nets again with no Claxton, they can be had in the front court right now. Definitely a tournament only play, like very wide range of outcomes there. But yeah, man, I'm with you. I think Brandon Miller is kind of good regardless. Obviously, I do want to bring up LaMelo Ball if we're not going to otherwise. I think he makes plenty of sense too. And I want to check his ownership here. Um, yeah, he's pretty popular. So not exactly shocked by that, but yeah, I think this game. I mean, this is an over spot for me. I think I would be betting the over here if anything. I like Lamelo. I like Miller. That's pretty much it for me from Charlotte. But if you're playing a bunch of lineups, I think Diabet's fine as like a lower owned tournament play. And don't quote me on lower owned. Yeah, 1% on WK. Sure, if you want to play him over Sarge or something like that in a chalky lineup, I think it's fine.
So I don't know that I'd play him over Sarge, but I don't mind playing him
Yeah, yeah. I meant like
alongside of Sarge.
yeah, exactly. I mean, in like a tournament lineup, if you're eating chalk at every other position, you need to make one pivot, fine. But yeah, he's not as good of a play as Sarge. Don't let me kind of make it seem like I said that. But yeah, risky for sure. Very
Well, the
risky.
other thing too is beyond Sarge, we have Zach Collins and Charles Bassey, who, if I'm not mistaken, are both also center only. So that's just going to push down everybody else's ownership. The thing I will note about this guy, I'm interested in playing him as a GPP play. He got really good minutes 4 games in a row, and then the one matchup that you would think he would have to play this, close to this 30-minute ceiling against Cleveland with the two bigs, he just didn't. So that was kind of bizarre. And like Nick said, like I don't think they have to go big against Brooklyn. So his
No.
minutes are very volatile tonight. So he's okay. I might get a couple percent, but those other three guys I just mentioned are seem like much stronger plays. And with that, let's talk about the Spurs. So no Wemby. What's the starting point here?
I mean, everyone's going to flock to Collins, and I get it. Looked really good in his minutes against Dallas. Not the worst matchup here with Holmgren out, so I'm fine getting to him. I just got to kind of monitor that ownership. But yeah, man, I mean, Chris Paul's been productive. He's priced where he should be. You can say the same for Castle. Harrison Barnes, wide range of outcomes with him always coming off terrible games. If you're landing on him, I don't think it's bad, but obviously not a priority or anything you're excited to get to. I think Champagne, as weird as it sounds, probably my favorite Spur here. Again, I'm just really trying to pivot off of some of this OKC chalk. Same position, same price. It's just very easy to do. The sell is back. Minutes have been kind of inconsistent for both him and Keldon Johnson. Um, but yeah, it's just tough to get to them here because they're all kind of priced where they should be, even with Wemby out. And it's a bad matchup too against a pretty solid OKC defense. So I don't know. I'm just like not rushing to anything other than the centers. But yeah, I don't think you want them in the same lineup. But both Collins and Bassey look good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a ton of Zach Collins. I think the appropriate price is closer to 6K. I understand why they couldn't do
Yeah,
that because maybe Wemby played today, but I don't know if he comes in at actually 15% ownership. I think he's a really strong play on DraftKings, and he has that power forward eligibility on FanDuel, which is huge.
huge. Yeah.
Charles Bassey. Now, the model is not quite identifying him as strong value. We only have him projected for 16 minutes, but he very surprisingly played 22 in his first game back last time. And so him and Zach Collins split minutes. It was either one or the other on the court. They never shared the court. But Charles Bassey, I think this was a terrible game. We know the ceiling this guy had. He shot 0 for 4. Like he scored 0 real points and he put up 18 fantasy points. I think our minutes projection is a little bit low. And so I talk about this before. We haven't projected for 16. Let's say we want to project him for closer to 20. That's a 25% increase. You can just increase the DK value by 25%, FD value by 25%, OF index by 25%. And if you increase this by 25%, all of a sudden he's the top value on the Spurs. Now, you got to be pretty confident in the minutes, but we're missing 4 minutes for center. We have Collins for 27. He played 26 last game. And Bassey at 16. That only adds up to like 43 something. So there's 4 minutes to go around here. I think they all go to Bassey.
Well, here's kind of that's kind of the bull case on Bassey. I'll just kind of play the bear case because I don't know for the sake of the show. But yes, Sandro played 17 as well last game, and I'm like sitting here thinking, who's ahead of who on the depth chart because they don't necessarily both need to get run here. And the reason I'm saying that is because Vassell missed last game. He's going to be back tonight. At least take up 24 minutes from that rotation. They don't need to play big here against OKC, who's without Chet. So like likely it is going to be Bassey behind Collins, and they're both good plays. But Sandro also playing pretty much the same minutes as both these guys kind of gives me some pause on Bassey, who's also coming off the bench. I mean, I don't know. It's not Pop, so maybe it's a little bit easier to read. But I don't know how you could be confident in any of the minutes for anyone off the bench right now. With I don't know, even with Wemby out, like Sandro also played 17. Why is it not going to be him over Bassey here? Like, have we heard that that's the depth chart?
No, but we have a Sandro projected for 0 minutes.
Right. I'm like, in the most likely scenario, it is Bassey, but I just see a path to failure here that probably goes against a lot of the ownership. So I don't know.
Let me
Definitely
see.
giving me some pause on Bassey.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Sandro's projected for any minutes around the industry, so that's definitely something that with all the chalk today, that's definitely a spot that we can look to take advantage of a little bit if you're playing 150. And that
Yeah,
doesn't
and like
necessarily mean playing Sandro; it just means not playing Bassey.
I mean, he scored 14 real points in 17 minutes last game. Like, if we're playing hot hand here, I'm trying to get him in the rotation, but I don't know that they are. Again, I can't read these coaches' minds, especially an interim coach. And yeah, I don't know. I just think everyone's excited for Bassey because of the price, and he looked pretty good. But I don't know. I'm not convinced he's ahead of Sandro on the depth chart.
I like it.
Yeah,
And
and again, this is like I don't know. This is risky. Like just play Collins if you really want to play Spurs center. But
yeah, I
yeah, I mean,
agree.
if Bassey's going to be popular, I think there's ways to get away from it.
And yeah, the thing I'll say, we haven't projected for 11% ownership. Everywhere around the industry hasn't projected for much more. So I would expect him to come in higher than this 10%. Like he's not going to be super chalk like 50%, but I wouldn't
Yeah,
play him.
somewhere in between. Yeah,
Yeah, like don't think you're getting a 10% guy because you're probably not. Stefan Castle, I was looking at this guy earlier, and it was a lot easier to get him in builds before we got all this value and lack of pay ups. Because now it's just, well, I could pay up a little bit more, or I could play one of the value guys like Strother instead. But I still don't mind getting exposure to Stefan Castle. He's been pretty great lately.
yeah, he's been solid. I'm fine getting to him, but again, Vassell missed last game. Castle's been getting minutes regardless, so I think he's safe. But I would just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, as more value opens up, I'm not getting to him nearly as much as I was earlier today.
Flash the Yahoo values for Thug a Thuggin' real quick. Brandon
Nice.
Boston, $15 over on Yahoo.
Whew, that's a
Uh,
bargain.
maybe.
I mean, I love Brandon. You seem to not like Brandon Boston. He's been awesome.
I like him. It just his price is. I don't think he's playable anymore. Let's take a look at
Well,
him real quick.
yeah, but 15 on Yahoo.
Yeah, that's a little different. That's a little different. It just because he's still
He's
pulling
like
up.
a 30 fantasy point guy, right? So, like, yeah, obviously mid 6Ks, you're not really trying to pay that. But I think on Yahoo, sure.
Let's talk about him real quick for FanDuel. Yeah, let's go to FanDuel for a quick minute. So Brandon Boston, pulling 17% over ownership over there. The 6,400 is a lot easier to fit him in. Taking a look at some other value there. I mean, it's a lot of guys that are similar. Nick called out Filipowski, who looks much better on FanDuel. What do we like for FanDuel that's different from DraftKings?
Yeah, I mean, not crazy about Boston on either side, but yeah, I mean, in terms of what I like more on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings, I mean, Ingram is almost 1K cheaper. I think he makes a lot of sense here. Obviously, he's kind of running that offense with McCollum and Zion out. Um, Obviously, going to be more popular there than he is on DK, but he definitely should be. Center's interesting on FanDuel tonight. Obviously, you only have the one spot. Both Dallas guys fine. I don't know that I have a strong lean towards one or the other. Again, New Orleans kind of smaller right now with some of these guys out. But yeah, I don't think either are popular on DK. Um, but yeah, I'm just trying to compare ownerships right now. It's not easy to do. But yeah, I'm fine with either Dallas Center on FanDuel. Obviously, going to be pretty low owned. And the main reason for that is that you can play Davis and Collins at power forward. If you really want to get to Ben Simmons, you could put him in at point guard. They're the guys that are stuck at center tonight. And most of the other good center plays have power forward eligibility. So I will just kind of bring up those Dallas guys. Other than that, I mean, there's a lot of parallel for sure. I mean, I do like Brandon Miller, who you brought up earlier. Cam Thomas a little bit more expensive on FanDuel. I'm still fine getting to him. Again, I know I'm biased. I love the kid, but the ceiling's there against a team like Charlotte. I'm interested in the Boston ownership between the two sites. Tatum and White are getting some love as they should. Drew, though, for whatever reason, not really getting any love over on FanDuel. 5,600. I'm fine to get to plenty of him. Someone who is drawing ownership on DraftKings. And this is not a good matchup, obviously, against the Cavs, but both these teams are blowing out teams so frequently. I'm almost excited to see them just play in a competitive game. I think it actually helps their ceilings. Both these teams have been running opponents off the floor. Tonight should be a really fun game. Kicks the slate off at 7, and I'm happy to get to both sides of this one. I think they're underrepresented when we're looking at ownerships right now, especially on the Boston side.
Yeah, one thing, we just got some Cavs news. I'll get to that in one moment when we jump to the other side of this game. But one thing I was looking at was, so Al Horford's back, Drew Holiday's back. I'm wondering, I mean, Kata's probably a little bit too high priced to consider with all the other guys, but I was just thinking with the Cavs double big lineup, if we can consider him, and then Peyton Pritchard pulling no ownership after failing as mega chalk last time.
Yeah, he was on the injury report all day. He did get ruled in. I don't think it's crazy to go there,
Oh,
but
I think it's
yeah, I
fine.
just think there's better value. Like they're all kind of priced up.
I am interested in the Cleveland side, and we just got news that Karras is out and
Oh yeah,
Sam Merrill's available to play. So we saw Ty Jerome just completely go off in Donovan Mitchell's place last game. Donovan Mitchell's back, and he at 9K 9,400. His ownership is low. We don't have to play much to get over the field, but he is actually one of my favorite GPP plays since it just seems like such great ownership leverage. I know the matchup sucks, but this dude is averaging 40 against Boston over the last year.
yeah. No, I like Merrill a lot because the other thing too is like even before he got that spot start, he was hitting value on FanDuel where you're getting points for steals and blocks and things like that. So he's been
Wait, Ty
coming in
Jerome?
playing Ty Jerome. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You said Merrill.
Did I say Merrill or did I?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're good though. Yeah, Ty Jerome.
Easy to confuse these two, but yeah, no, I like Jerome more than I like Merrill just because he does everything. I'm gonna play a lot of Jerome tonight, and Sam Merrill. I mean, he's fine to mix in, but I don't know if he stays 0% owned, sure, but I much prefer Ty Jerome. I like that he does everything, and Sam Merrill kind of a one trick pony. He does that one trick really well, but not something I'm usually looking to play in DFS.
That's the thing. So we have Jerome projected for 18. We had Merrill for 18. That's without Karras 26 coming out of the rotation. So, I mean, Ty Jerome, he's probably going to pick up some ownership now. The 4,200 price on DraftKings, I think, is still okay. And then Sam Merrill, 3,200. He's a guy that when he's low owned, I have to get over the field. So 5,
Yeah,
6% maybe.
that's fair. And this is going to sound gross. I don't mind getting to a little bit of a Coro now if he stays alone. His minutes are going to be secured here with Levert out. He's actually going to get probably more minutes with that second unit with Levert out, even if he starts. So I don't know. He hasn't been good, but the minutes should be there tonight. I'm guessing he plays probably 28. So at his price, if you're looking to get off some chalk, I don't think it's crazy. Like I'm not going to sit here and beat my chest about Isaac Okoro, but I do think he's underowned for what he should be doing now.
And then best center not named AD. The problem is, so on FanDuel, there's no one to pay up for
Right.
that doesn't also have power forward eligibility. Like this, right? Sorry, how did I do
Yeah,
this?
it's kind of
Uh,
true.
yeah, like even has power forward eligibility. So I'm usually against paying for value at center, but on FanDuel. But today we kind of just have to. So I
Yep.
mean, it's kind of gross because there's so many cheap options. The model's really identifying Derek Lively as one of the better value options, points per dollar. And I don't know, like our ownership is showing he's here, but I don't see why he would come in higher owned than like Zach Collins or Dario Saric, even, right?
Yeah, and honestly, the more I think about it, like you're paying a premium for Sarge on FanDuel. Like I don't feel great about 5,900. It's gross. But if he's going to be 5% owned, and you could still get to AD and Collins at power forward, I think that's a good way to get different. I definitely up some $5,900 Sarge in 2024. I like I'm biting my tongue as I say it, but yeah, I think it makes sense if you're just looking at ownership and what he's capable of. So him, I mean, both Dallas guys look fine. It's just the ownership's kind of climbing on them now. Um, I don't know. It's
Um,
tough to get different at the position.
Akaro is also ruled out, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
missed that
they
one.
probably just saved me embarrassment, so that's a good thing.
And then there was something about center. Memphis, Zach Edey's out today. Now, against Saric, again, I don't know that both teams go small, but Brandon Clark's going to pull some ownership, 38 and 3,900. He does have that power forward eligibility over on FanDuel. I mean, to me, he's just kind of a guy that blends in with the rest of them. We only have him projected for 20 minutes. Maybe that goes up if he's starting.
I don't want to play Brandon Clark right now. And like he's had opportunities like with other guys out all season and just really hasn't been performing. If anything, I'd want to play Aldama, but like he's been pretty bad too, and he's no longer even a center. Um, I don't know. I just kind of want to avoid this front court. They mix in Jay Huff as well, but not enough that you want to play Jay Huff. It's just enough to kind of hurt the upside of guys like Clark and Aldama.
Yeah, I mean, Aldama is definitely my favorite player from this group, but the 6,400, we only have him projected for
Yeah.
22 minutes because Desmond Bain is back now, too. Jay Huff, I'm perfectly fine just crossing him out. I know he's
Yeah. Either way.
3,300, but this 9% is probably 8% too much ownership for him. Jaron Jackson's fine. Probably a decent
Nice.
GPP play at his ownership.
Yeah, if there's anything I want to play for the Grizzlies tonight, it is Jackson. Just, I mean, he's priced where he should be, but the ceiling's there. Obviously, a better matchup with Jokic out. Still seeing plenty of usage with Bane back. No reason not to like him. Definitely fine getting to Jared Jackson. And the more I think about it, like maybe that's a stand we take as we're struggling to get different with the value. I think Jackson, 10% owned on DK, 11 on FanDuel. It's very easy to double or even triple that.
We got this B Don asking about Najee. Or is that Najee Marshall or Najee? Okay, I assume that was Zeke Najee. Zeke Najee is not playable. He's not even in the rotation with Jokic out. Najee Marshall. Wasn't really looking at him
For
yet
Dallas.
today.
Yeah, with
Maybe.
PJ Washington back, I mean, I don't think you can do it. I mean, he's had some good games, but those were all with PJ Washington out. So I don't know. He's still part of the rotation, but I don't think his price is back to where it should be. I think he was priced up a lot with PJ out. They've come down like halfway, but he needs to be a little bit cheaper before I'm going back to him off the bench.
I'll say if Luca's out, Najee
Oh
Marshall played
God,
27 minutes last game, so at this price he'd be fine. And even with Luca in, I'm okay if I get a couple percent in my 150 set. Not a guy I'm targeting though.
yeah. I mean, again, he's been spiking upside when he was starting, but if Luke is out, all the other maps are in play.
Was Dean Wade ruled out too? Not that I was thinking about him, but it could open up minutes for someone else.
He's been out. Yeah, I don't think you. I think he's
Oh,
out.
okay, that's why he didn't show up on the report here. Nice. Uh, Boston hasn't been blowing teams out. No, they've been losing to teams like Atlanta when they're
Yeah, that's
17
fair.
point favorites and losing. Oh no, they won by one against the other one they were supposed to blow out. Um, Close Coro out.
They'll show up tonight, though. This is a big game.
Brown, is that Jalen Brown? Yeah, I wonder if people are just going to be thinking about Tatum because Brown kind of always gets forgotten, but at 8,100, I always think he's fine.
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, always a good last piece in. Can definitely spike a ceiling on occasion, but again, just priced where he should be. So I'm not like clamoring to get there, but again, if we're liking a lot of the chalky value, it makes sense to maybe mix in some Brown.
Cash game plays for ZA. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's
Sorted
do it.
by ownership. Yeah, I mean, you probably just got to start your lineup. I mean, AD and LeBron in cash. We have the value. I don't see why not. The only other player to pay up for is SGA, and he's not a cash play today.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want LeBron in cash. I think AD makes sense as more of this value opens up. Sarge, no brainer at value. I think you have to kind of get to Murray, at least on FanDuel in cash games. I'm mad that Finney Smith is this popular now because I thought that was like a hot take earlier today, playing him more than the OKC value, but it looks like the field's gotten there. Trey Murphy, I think, is pretty safe too at his price, but that's kind of where I'm starting on both sites for the most part. Definitely not playing AD and LeBron together as much on FanDuel as I want to on DK. But yeah, you don't have like the cheap value on FanDuel you do on DK. It's more kind of mid range.
You said you're the GOAT, bro.
Let's go.
LeBron versus Tatum on DK.
I think LeBron's safer, but let me look at the ownership.
Well, so
Tatum,
it's yeah,
what
Tatum's
is it?
like a little bit higher OF index at half the ownership. Tatum's probably the better play, but I don't. You could just play him in the same lineup.
Yeah, you can play them together, but yeah, as far as like large field go, if you're playing that $5 to 100K to first, I would definitely play Tatum at a third of the ownership.
Yeah, this is a very strong pivot.
Yep.
And this is the closest game of the day. 3.5. Oh no, 6.5 point spread. The 3 point game was Nets and Charlotte. Sorry,
Yeah,
still a close
they're
game though.
both pancake.
Dallas spread moved up twice, so you think Luca plays and will be the worst pay up on the slate because his glutes is hurt.
I
Interesting.
mean, I'm not an expert on glutes, but yeah, I don't want to pay that for Luca right now. I don't know. On a slate like this, where the Lakers look so damn good, we're talking about the Celtics in a competitive game. You're paying 1K more for Luca, so it's pretty easy to get away from him. But yeah, I've always thought he was going to play here. But yeah, the spread's now up to 13 points, so it seems like pretty safe bet that he's going to be in.
Yeah, and it's like even if he's in, maybe if they have it like a 15 point game in the fourth, when typically Luca would still be in, maybe they just rest him. So maybe the minutes are a little more volatile than usual. I will say at under 10% on today's slate, I still want to make sure I have Luca in my set. So
Yeah, if no one's playing him, then he gets interesting.
yeah,
Just
if I
main
was
game
making one
theory.
lineup, I wouldn't go there though.
No, yeah, it would take me a while to get to him, but yeah, if you want to put 10% in, you're playing 150. I think that's good.
Any cash plays. So the way that I would typically do this, CA, if you're a member of the Occupy Fantasy site, if you're not, you can sign up for as little as $7 a week. It's $1 a day. It's one of the best values I think over in fantasy sports. Gives you access to the model for every sport, our daily plugs, which is just the write ups, I guess, for the slates. But Charlotte, Brooklyn, I was just going to look at who was owned to see if anyone's cash there. I mean,
Finney Smith on DK.
DFS.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Finney Smith on DK for sure.
Yeah, I think you could consider Schroeder, Cam Johnson. Ben Simmons is pulling a little bit of ownership. I'm not sure that he's a cash play, though. And then over on FanDuel, I mean, Ben Simmons is the highest projected owned guy from this team. So,
Yeah, I think Miller more than anything. I would be getting into cash lineups on FanDuel. Simmons at point guard, I wouldn't use him as your center. You could use him in cash, but there's a lot of cheap guards kind of that are probably a little bit safer.
yeah, definitely. If that's a setting you can do in your whatever builder optimizer you use, I would not play Ben Simmons at center on FanDuel today. It's too valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fave spend ups for single entry GPPs. What do you got, Nick?
Facebook of single entry GPPs. Just sorting here. I think Shea makes a lot of sense. Um, Still under owned compared to a lot of the other top options. I'll put his name out there first. Um, After that, I mean the Lakers. I absolutely love here. Um, Shea's really my like hottest take, so I'm kind of struggling. I don't know. I like Kyrie some. Again, if maybe Luca plays, but he's not 100% himself, could see him doing all right at reasonable ownership. But yeah, I mean, I'll just say the Lakers. I'm getting to the Lakers a ton. SGA is a way to get a little bit different. Really like Tatum as well, but I don't know. It seems like as more of this value opens up, the ownership's kind of coming up on all of these pay ups, which makes it interesting. But SGA, I think, is a stand I'd be willing to take here.
Amateur hour, I think you play on DraftKings if I'm not mistaken. So I can tell you that 3 of my top 5 lineups have LeBron and AD, but my number 1 lineup, which will be my single entry, it has LeBron and Donovan Mitchell actually as the payups there. So I'm going to say Donovan Mitchell as like the GPP play since he's solo owned.
I like it. Yeah, that's a good show.
Ben Simmons would be on the bench in a Japanese league. Ben Simmons would be the uh, Michael Jordan of a Japanese league.
Yeah, I mean, people are so bad, like down on. Okay, so first of all, Ben Simmons is a shell of who he should be as a player. He can't play a full game. He can't play 4 quarters. But you got to just look past the shooting. Like he does a lot. He's not as bad as a lot of the guys at the end of a lot of teams' benches. Um, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and defend Ben Simmons all night, but yeah, I think he gets a worse rap at this point. Like he was so overrated for a long time that it swung so far in the opposite direction. He's almost underrated now, which is ridiculous to say. But until the guy can play 4 quarters, I mean, I don't really want him on my team, but he is.
If his name was anything but Ben Simmons, if he was just like some guy that came in randomly, he would be hailed as like a top role player in this league. But because the
Right. Yeah.
expectations were so high, he is seen as not great.
Yep.
Top FanDuel cash plays. I mean, just same thing, sorting by FanDuel ownership. Probably plug in Trey Murphy, AD, LeBron, Jamal Murray, Zach Collins, and then after
Yep.
that, maybe some
I mean,
decisions. But I don't see any
yeah,
reason
the
to get
ones
away
you
from these
said
top
are the
5.
keys. Yeah,
Yeah,
Murphy, Davis, LeBron, Murray, Collins. That's the starting point.
say Champagne, get some salary relief, one of Nick's favorite values today.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Again, there's not a ton of guys that have guard and forward eligibility. If you have the salary to get it to Brandon Miller, I like him a lot more. But Champagne, same thing, but 2K cheaper. Obviously, not the player Miller is, but if you need that salary, he makes sense.
Are Reeves, LeBron, and AD too much? No, I don't think so. I have, I guess I don't have much lineups with those 3, but I have lineups with a lot of lineups have 2 of those guys. But I don't think it's too much.
Yeah, I mean, you really need that game to go if all three are going to get there. But if this was a bigger slate, I'd say no. But tonight, I think 6 games, you're fine.
Yeah, if you're playing a single entry, it's probably tough to do a hand build with that. But I mean, if
Yeah.
that's where you land, like everyone else in the other positions is where you want it, then yeah, just run with it. I'll mention Desmond Bain at a similar price to Reeves if you want to find a pivot there, but his minutes have been so bad.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it, but he's fine.
Oh, our boy Amateur's playing on FanDuel. What's up, dude?
Nice.
I thought you played on DraftKings. All right, Nick, what's your favorite pay up on FanDuel overall, besides LeBron and AD?
Besides LeBron and AD, I'll say SGA again. I think he's pretty easy to get to.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
just on
SJ
your
too.
own, man. He should be more popular.
Still like Donovan Mitchell over there.
Yeah, Mitchell's been great lately. He's found his shot.
Do we think Rui plays? I think I built as if he was. I don't think we were expecting Rui to play. No. Oh, actually, maybe we are. True
I think he's
questionable.
probable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I have no idea. So
Yeah, I don't know that I want to play him first game back, but
I don't think he should take anything away from like LeBron or AD or even Austin Reeves if we get there.
no, it's unfortunate. It's going to cut into Dalton Connect first and foremost.
Yeah. Saw a couple other good questions, and then we'll build a dummy and get out of here. I think we got Smitty in the Discord Q&A today, so get another
Nice.
perspective on this. What I still think is a dumb slate. Do we love for an MPJ bounce back? I do. His price came up a
Yeah,
little bit, but his ownership is where we want it to be to target this type of player. So I'd like getting over the 4%, maybe like 10, 12% on DraftKings. Same on
yeah, it's
FanDuel.
just crazy. He's so low. I like him a lot in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, if he was any cheaper, his ownership would be higher, but I'd be jamming him in if he was still like 6,700.
Yep.
Smitty, yep, we know Smitty loves these discords on these fun slates. Is Russell a good fade off Reeves? I mean, they're different price points, right? Assuming you're talking about D'Angelo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't think that it's not that
He's still
D'Angelo.
yeah, go ahead. You're the
But
host.
he's not going to come in and take minutes away from Reeves if Reeves is playing poorly and D'Angelo is playing well. They're just both going to play together. It would take a lot for Reeves to get benched right now with the way that this team is rolling.
Yeah.
And D'Angelo, I'll say he's flourishing in his new role, but I don't know that he's someone who we can even look at as GPP play in DFS right now. Like he is a GPP play. You shouldn't be like crossing him out, but this is just how can we play this guy right now?
Yeah, he's the same price as Drew Holiday. Just play Drew Holiday.
Yeah, like if you're playing like the night slate or the showdown, I'm definitely going to be playing a bunch of D'Angelo, but it's obviously because we just have less options.
Right.
5.2 and under utility play. So ZA, once you sign up for occupyfantasy.com, the way that I do this, just adjust the slider here to get it as close as you can, sort by value. So under 5,200, all these guys are under 5,200. Drew Holiday's probably what Nick's answer will be, right?
Yeah,
Gives up all the
yeah,
salary. Yeah.
definitely.
All
You
right.
already have him. I kind of like Filipowski as a way to get different.
I don't mind Filipowski either. Yeah, he's been starting, assuming he still starts. He'd be more popular if we didn't have like three bona fide value centers to play today.
Yep,
And then
totally.
core five on DK. Yeah, let's build out a dummy. So first players in the lineup today. Should we just start with these three?
I gotta
Sa-
look at your screen here.
Sarge, Clarkson, DFS.
Darich, Clarkson, DFS. Yes, and then I think you go LeBron, AD.
Okay, so let's plug in Sarge. And Clarkson's mega popular, but like I mentioned earlier, the model
It's too
is not
cheap.
necessarily identifying him as strong value. I'm still playing him. Sounds like Nick's still playing him, but just something to keep in mind.
The price is just wrong.
Clarkson and DFS, what, 4,100? Let's plug in. Does Braun have small forward eligibility? He does.
Yep.
Tatum 100 more if you want to get that pivot. That's fine too. And yeah, let's plug in AD. We have 5,100 at the positions, three
Hey
positions.
Murphy.
Let's plug in Trey Murphy.
And probably Drew.
Drew Holiday a point.
Again, it's mispriced.
Yeah. Drew Holiday. Leaves us 4,500 for a second guard. We don't have like a super guard value today. I mean, none of these guys feel great. Connect is fine if Rui's out. If Rui's in, it's tough.
Yeah, I think you try to find. It's tricky.
Wanted to see if there was like a cheaper point guard. I mean, one of these OKC guys, none of them
One of the
feel
Cleveland
great.
guys is going to get interesting. I mean, Merrill's shooting guard only. I don't love Merrill. Ty Jerome have shooting guard? No, he's
Yeah,
point guard only.
yeah, let's take a look at the Cavs actually, see if any of their DK values updated. So doesn't look like Ty Jerome stands out. Sam Merrill went up a little bit, projected for 24 minutes now, 14% ownership at the min price. I mean,
He's going to get popular, I think, because he's going to be starting.
yeah, let's see. Sam Merrill?
Yeah, because Okoro's out, so I think they're going to have to go with Merrill unless they go Yang.
Okay.
I don't think they want Yang into three next to Mobley and Allen.
Yeah, they
Um,
could do that with Merrill, yeah.
yeah, I mean, if it's Jerome, I'd love it, but I don't think it is. I'm guessing it's going to be Merrill.
So we plug in Merrill. I mean, that leaves us in 1,300 extra. We could, I don't know, upgrade Drew Holiday to Dennis Schroeder if we want, or upgrade, I don't know, maybe if you want to fade Clarkson for some reason, just move
Yeah,
this around. And
close.
we didn't even get our boy Zach Collins or the pivot Charles Bassey in here. So there's a lot you can do with the lineups. I think the center and utility spot are very important to get right because you probably have to get it perfect with two centers.
Yep. Yeah, center's tough tonight.
So I guess we didn't really answer the question. The core five: LeBron,
It's LeBron,
Clarkson, Saric, DFS.
AD. Or, well, I guess AD's like maybe not the core. In cash, I think it's honestly Trey Murphy. Ugh, I don't even want to say that out loud.
Something involving this is pretty close to the core. And then I'll just sort by ownership one last time. I mean, John Collins. I guess I feel like he's getting forgotten today, but he's pulling the ownership. He will be played.
Yeah, I mean the price is up. It's not the best matchup for front court. I like him, but I don't know if I'd call him core at 6,900.
And then we both like we've been talking about it for like three slates now. Jamal Murray's pretty popular, but we kind of are both in on the fade.
Yep.
Let's see, AD or Braun if you can only afford one.
I'll say Braun just because there's such good value at center. Like you could go. Colin Sarich, play Braun, and then pay up somewhere else. So I'll go Braun just because of the positionality.
I'm gonna say AD on DraftKings and Braun on FanDuel,
That's
just
fair.
based off ownership and price. FD, all your big wins have been over there. FD feels easier sometimes. Sometimes.
It really depends too. It's so funny. Like my big takedown this year was on DK, and I barely play on DK, and I've been grinding FanDuel, and I mean I've been close, but like yeah, I don't know. I don't think the one's necessarily easier than the other. It just depends on the night and who priced the slate better.
To me, it feels like on FanDuel you can kind of miss on one spot, where on DraftKings you can't. You have to be perfect to take
That's
down
true too. I
large
think
fields
it's
over
one
there.
less position. I want to say. I don't know if that's right.
There's one less roster spot on DraftKings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you really can't afford to miss once on FanDuel if you get everything else right. DK, that margin for error is gone.
Merrill's starting. Nice. So yeah, Sam Merrill's definitely going to be more popular. See what Smitty thinks about him in the Discord Q&A if you want the model update. Jimmy, I don't know the answer to this, but maybe Smitty does in Discord Q&A, or maybe you can ask the hosts tomorrow. Should you try FanDuel? You've only been on DK. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't see why not. Yeah,
yeah. Just make sure you sign. Use one of their promo sign up things. I think they give you like I don't know bonus funds or something.
$10. Their
Yeah.
deposit
Well,
bonuses
I
have
know
gotten
for the
so bad.
sports book they do like 150. I don't know what they do for FanDuel, but they don't pay us anything for. It's just I don't know. It's up to you.
Any insight on Bane minutes? Why so low? I don't know why they're so low, but I don't see anything that we're expecting them to come up. So I still think he's a fine GPP play, but it's tough because he's probably only going to play 30 minutes. Any
Yeah.
last words, Nick?
No, I was just say Bane's been out for a while. They're kind of easing him in, but no firm word. But yeah, just keep an eye on news. Obviously, the games are staggered tonight, so you're gonna have a lot of ability to pivot. Like if your night starts off poorly, then get off the chalk and find ways to get different. That's how you can climb the leaderboard if things don't go well for you early. But with these staggered games, you can kind of game the system a little bit that way.
We appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want to listen to Discord, instructions are in the description below, and we'll see you tomorrow.